Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're cutting through the noise on Azerbaijan's climate.
Right.
We're looking at the immediate forecast, say the next 10 days, but also connecting that to the really profound long-term shifts happening there.
Yeah, it's a crucial connection to make. We've pulled together data from, their national services, the UK Met Office, Finnish sources, and some detailed climate reports.
Our aim is really to give you the essential insights, the shortcut to understanding both the weather now and the bigger climate story unfolding. So let's get into it.
Okay, and what's really striking, I think, is how this upcoming forecast for late July 2025, it's not just summer weather. It acts like a real-time snapshot of these bigger trends.
That's a great way to put it. So, okay, the specifics. July 22nd to 31st. What are we seeing?
Well, the main headline is heat. A pretty significant and ongoing heat wave, especially hitting Baku.
How hot are we talking?
Daily highs consistently projected in the high 30s Celsius. So, think 37, maybe 39 degrees Celsius.
Wow. And Baku's average for July is usually, around 30?
Exactly, around 30 degrees. So this is noticeably hotter, persistently hotter, and feels like temps could push 37 degrees C too.
Which means, a real risk of heat stress for people.
Definitely. A high likelihood, particularly for vulnerable groups, kids, the elderly. And it's not just personal discomfort.
No, it's strained services, right?
Right. Public services, infrastructure, the power grid, trying to cope with all the cooling demand. Plus, in cities like Baku, you've got the urban heat island effect, making it even worse. All that concrete just traps heat.
Okay, so hot and potentially stressful. What about rain? Is there any relief in sight?
Not really in this period. July is typically Baku's driest month, averages only about 2 millimeters of rain.
2 millimeters, that's practically nothing.
Pretty much. And the forecast shows a very low chance, less than 5%, of any precipitation for these 10 days. So yeah, arid is the word.
Any chance of storms? Sometimes heat brings thunderstorms.
The overall risk of severe storms, heavy rain, strong winds, hail seems low for this window. However, there was a yellow warning for wind just before this period started, around July 2022.
Okay.
Indicating, some potential for localized gusts, maybe up to 22 miles per hour.
Yeah.
But Baku is famously windy year-round anyway.
True. And the Caspian Sea, I imagine the water's pretty warm with all this heat.
Oh, yeah. Expected water temps are around 24 to 26 degrees Celsius near Baku. Pleasant for swimming, maybe, but it reflects that intense air heat.
And this immediate picture, it links directly to the long-term changes, doesn't it?
Absolutely. That's the crucial part. Azerbaijan's climate has warmed significantly faster than the global average, about 1.3 degrees CD or warmer by 2010, compared to the global 0.8 degrees C rise over the last century.
1.3 degrees faster. And I read something startling, a 5-fold increase in the number of days hitting maximum temperatures in just the last 20 years.
That's right, a 5-fold increase. It's dramatic. And what this means for you listening is that what feels like extreme heat today, it's basically on track to become the average summer day in the coming decades.
That's sobering. Projections show another 1 to 3 degrees Celsius rise by 2050.
Yes, with heat waves getting longer and hotter, what's extreme now becomes the baseline later.
And then there's this paradox you mentioned before we started recording, the flash flood paradox.
Ah, yes. It's quite counterintuitive. So overall annual rainfall might actually decrease slightly, especially in summer.
Okay, so getting drier overall.
But, and this is the paradox, there's an increase in the frequency and intensity of heavy rainfall events, intense downpours.
So longer dry spells punctuated by sudden damaging floods.
Exactly. It's a really tough challenge. You get increasing drought risks. Some models show it potentially surging from maybe 2% now to over 70 or 80% by the end of the century.
Wow.
But at the same time, a higher risk of flash floods, soil erosion, landslides. And remember, about 1 million people in Azerbaijan live in flood-prone areas.
That's a huge number. And water security must be a massive issue too, especially if they rely on water from outside their borders.
It is. It compounds the problem. And that warm Caspian Sea we talked about, the heat accelerates evaporation.
Which contributes to the sea shrinking, right? I've read the water level is falling steadily.
Directly linked. It's a major ecological issue for the whole region. Biodiversity, the water balance, a very visible impact of the warming climate.
So connecting the dots, we see impacts on public health, heat illness, maybe waterborne diseases if sanitation is affected.
Yes, definitely increased heat illness and potential risks for waterborne diseases like hepatitis A or even vector-borne ones like malaria, although thankfully there haven't been cases since 2013. Agriculture is also highly vulnerable.
Threatening food security, important crops like cotton?
Correct. And the economic cost is already significant.
Yeah.
We're talking maybe $70, $80 million annually from extreme weather events. Plus, the longer-term risk of their fossil fuel reserves becoming, well, stranded assets, economically unviable.
Which brings us to a really fascinating point. Azerbaijan is hosting COP29, the UN Climate Change Conference, in 2024.
Yeah, it's quite the backdrop. A country where over 90% of exports are petroleum-based, with huge oil reserves.
Over 7 billion barrels, I think.
Hosting the world's biggest climate summit. They have committed to a 40% cut in greenhouse gas emissions, but it's conditional on getting international support.
It creates a real tension, doesn't it, between their economy and these global climate goals?
It absolutely does. A major balancing act on a global stage.
So let's just sort of wrap this up for you, our listeners. Azerbaijan's climate story is complex. You've got this immediate heat and dryness, but it's woven into these huge long-term shifts. Faster warming, that bizarre flash flood paradox, the shrinking Caspian Sea.
It's not just weather reports. It really digs into public health, water, food, the economy, and even, global climate politics.
Absolutely. And maybe here's a final thought for you to chew on. Given Azerbaijan's deep reliance on fossil fuels, how might hosting COP29 genuinely change its own path forward?
And what could that signal for other resource-rich nations that are also trying to navigate this tricky path towards decarbonization and resilience? It's a big question.